All right, so today's topic for this webinar is the probation side of things. I want to give a disclaimer to start that just like last week, I did the same disclaimer. I'm going to be using I'm going to say probation or probation officer throughout the webinar. It's the same functions for probation officers, parole officers, human services, caseworkers, any of your referral sources. It's going to be the same function. Just to save time, I'm going to use the term probation or probation officer. So this is one of my favorite presentations to give. Today's also a unique situation where I've never given this presentation solely to agency or the internal users of ReliaTrax. I'm always giving this presentation to probation officers, but we figured that it would be helpful for you guys to see their side of things so that it helps you get a deeper understanding of the system and how to work with them. So what we're looking at here is the ReliaTrax probation portal. The website you can see in the address bar here at the top is just it's RTUN Portal.reliatrax.net. This is where probation officers go to log in to see a list of all the agencies that they work with. They all work with more than one of you, so they can access all the sites that they work with from this one location. They no longer have to go to each one of your individual ReliaTrax websites to log in. It was too many usernames and passwords, too many locations for them to go to keep track of. So we built the portal here to kind of help them. So what we're looking at is just the front page of it. It's you can see a map here of all the ReliaTrax agencies in Colorado that use ReliaTrax. And then they could change the state. So they come here and they can log in up at the top. I won't go too far into the login process because that's not something you'll ever know. But they can come here and they can request an account from us if they've never logged in before. And there's a place they can reset their password if it's expired or if they've forgotten it. What's important about that is you guys don't have to manage their passwords for their login information. They can manage it themselves. Okay. So I'm not gonna, I'll just log in here for my dummy probation officer. All right, so now I'm logged into the portal. You can see that the map has changed. It's a little smaller. If I zoom in, I still see all those blue pins, but now I see some green pins in there as well. Those green pins are all the agency locations that this specific probation officer works with. So they don't see all of them unless everybody grants them access, but you can see there's quite a bit in Denver here. On the right side of the screen, we've broken it down by location. So that's where all of you are listed. Again, right now we're just looking at the ones for Colorado. Okay. So from the portal, the PO has a couple of options for accessing a specific agency or a specific client. So they can come up here, they can go to agencies. My agencies will show them a list of all the agencies that they are connected to. This green direct login button is why they don't have to log into your individual sites anymore. By clicking this, it's going to take me, it's going to redirect me to this agency, and then it's going to log me in. So this is the view you're all familiar with. Okay. I'm just going to jump back to the portal really quick. The other option that they can do under agencies is my clients. So under the My Clients tab will be all the clients that are assigned to them across all the agencies they work with. Now, I only have a bunch of fake clients here from this one fake agency, but if I was a real PO and I worked with 10 of you, 15 of you, I would see my clients across all the agencies I work with. They can sort this list. They can sort it by the status here, by the name if they want. It's really up to them. They can also sort by balance, so they can see which clients maybe owe some money to their agencies. So maybe that kind of influences some voucher funding coming your way. And then they can also sort by the agency. The other option that they can click to get into your ReliaTrax accounts and to see their clients, they can click on either the client name or they can click on the Lego man. Just like in your sites, if the Lego man is red, it means that there's something going on with him. He's missed a session recently, maybe he tested positive on a UA, just something to get their attention and let them know that there's something going on with this client. So I'm going to click that. Now, not only is it going to take me to that agency site, it's going to take me directly to that client's profile. And that's good because the client profile is the next place that I want to be. We are going to jump back over to the portal here in a little bit. There's one more aspect about it that I did want to show you guys. So from the client's page, you can see in the icon bar, far fewer icons than you guys are seeing on your end. So they definitely don't see everything that's in your site. One thing they can do, they can click on the magnifying glass just like you guys do. It is a new function, relatively new. It's, I think it's probably about a year old, maybe a year and a half old. They are able to edit some of the client information, like the demographics, like an address, a phone number. Sometimes, especially with like the SO clients, probation officers know long before the agency does that the client has relocated. So they can come in here and they can update that information for you. That is a permission setting. As always, we want to be respectful of the agency's decision when it comes to functions in the site. So if you don't want them to be able to edit client information, there is a permission setting on the profile setup that I will show you here that is that'll not allow them to do this function. The other piece of that I want to mention of what they can do, probation officers can also add a client picture if they want, if you want them to, using the camera icon just like you guys do. So it is an option for them to upload a client picture. I know a lot of the SO probation officers are doing this. They grab that picture from their system because they've already got it and they just upload it for you. So just going across the icon bar here, the little telephone icon, if they're on a UA call-in for you guys, the probation officers can see when they've called in by clicking this. This is the categories. They can just see categories that you guys have assigned them to. This icon here, and these are all the same icons that you guys are already seeing. Shows them the groups, shows them their a monthly call-in summary. A big one that I wanted to show you today is the filing cabinet, where you can go to see all the documents that have been either written in ReliaTrax for this client or have been uploaded. So probation can click that. Now, I do want to stress, by default, your session notes are confidential. Probation doesn't see that unless you release them to them. So, and I don't know why you would in a lot of cases. So things like monthly reports, discharge summaries, maybe a treatment plan if they are on a MTT or CST team. They can see treatment plans if that's the case. It's again, we go through all this with you when we get you set up and determine which documents you want them to be able to see. This is where they can do that. So I can see the monthly report just by clicking on it. This is a single monthly comment from a single therapist. Another icon that I want to show you is this one right here. This is the monthly progress report. This is where all those individual comments from the individual therapists are compiled. So for the monthly report, you can see there's the track D, no comments yet, but they can see the dates of attendance. Individual counseling with Wendy, still no comments yet. And then the level 2 education with me, dates of attendance, and then here's the comment that I wrote for the month of April. So had Elena and Wendy also put comments in, they would be showing up right here. This is the collaborative monthly report that has dates of attendance and comments from all the therapists that they work with. That goes out of ReliaTrax. We took a look at this last week. So the probation officer should be getting this in their email, but they could also see it right here. And then you can also look up past ones by changing the date. They can look up all of them or do a custom date range, similar to what you guys have. So just jumping back to the client profile, I skipped over this icon, the number 7, that they can just see upcoming client appointments. So if the client is saying, sitting down in front of their PO saying, yeah, I scheduled my intake, I'm scheduled to be there next week, the PO could come here and click this and see if they have something scheduled. Not the perfect system because it does rely on you guys to enter those calendar appointments in the calendar for ReliaTrax, but hopefully it's helping keep those clients honest. Another icon that they can see is the vouchers. So if they have voucher funding that probation has granted, it is up to you guys to enter those vouchers in ReliaTrax, but once you do, the PO can see it. So they click that icon. They can see all the vouchers they've ever given the client. They've been very generous with this one. Now they're not able to edit, but they can see information like how much they gave initially, how much is left, so he hasn't used it yet. If there is one that he's used, let's see. So here's this one. Initial was 200, 0 left, so he's used the whole thing up. They can click on the voucher icon itself, and they can see the dates he used it and what for. So jumping back to the clients page, that's all the icons in the icon bar I did want to go over. There's a few other ones like uploading documents. POs can upload documents if they want. They can see if you're entering prescriptions, they can see that. One other icon that I did want to mention was the client tasks. I mentioned last week that some POs might be sending tasks to you to just little communications of things they need. That's this icon here. So the PO can click on it, add a task. Just like you guys, they can make it either private to themselves or visible to the agency. Okay. And then I mentioned last week, someplace that you guys can see that a list of all the tasks that are pending is under admin, client tasks. You'll notice the admin list is much smaller for the PO. And they only see tasks that that they created. So the next thing I wanted to go over was all the treatments down below. So just like on your end, they're able to see what the client's enrolled in, what they're doing at your agency. There is a couple exceptions to that, if there's a treatment that you offer, or you have a treatment line for, let's say, books and materials, it is optional. We can make it so that the PO does not see it on the list here. But just like on your view, they can see a snapshot of the required sessions versus how many they've attended so far, and then a group name or the counselor that they're working with. Did want to go in here to the attendance piece. So just like on your side of things, the red icon lets them know that the client has recently missed that type of treatment, or if it was a UA that was red, they recently tested positive. So clicking on the session log, it's a much more stripped down version of what you guys see on your end. There's no money displayed with any of the sessions. There's no pencil. They can't make any changes to it. They're not seeing the session note icon here. They can see documents that you've released to them. And then any no-shows recently. All right. So another thing that a lot of probation officers, at least in like Denver and Colorado Springs and a lot of other areas in Colorado, and now starting out in other states, this is starting to happen as well. Probation officers can log in and they can make referrals directly to you in ReliaTrax. So from my understanding, just talking with a couple different POs on their process, they log into ReliaTrax and they say, okay, these are the agencies that are in your area. They let the client pick an agency. Then they log into ReliaTrax here. They log into their portal. They go to the My Agencies and click that green direct login button. Takes them to the site, and then they can come up here to referrals and create referral. Obviously, that workflow is not what every PO out there does. That's just what I've heard from a few. All right, so they're logged into the system. They want to create a referral. They can select the office that they're referring to. The organization, that's the organization that the PO is assigned to in your site. They can only see their own, they can't see others. That brings them to the referral page. They can refer for other probation officers in their organization. So if they have like an intake officer who is doing the referrals, they can create the referral and assign a different PO as the primary. Just like when you guys are entering clients in ReliaTrax, there is a couple required fields. So gender, which we selected on the first screen, first name, last name, date of birth, and phone number. They do have a couple options here. They can enter the court case number. They can enter the MLDOC number. So that's the number that we can link UA test results from the Century system in ReliaTrax. So, and a lot of times POs have that number already. So we've worked really hard on getting them to enter that number for you. It's not every PO does it. I don't want to mislead you, but hopefully more than none do it. And the other option is they can enter a report by date. So they can give the client a date that they have to report to treatment by. So I'm giving this client till the end of the month. If that client still has not been moved from the referral state in your site to the intake state, come June 1st, I'm going to get an email saying, hey, Jessica here is not in compliance. She never showed up over there. And then they can refer for treatments. This list is going to look different between your agencies. Not all of you offer domestic violence. Not all of you offer substance abuse. So this list is going to be whatever it is that you offer. So right here, you can see the level 2 education has a little arrow next to it. That is because when I was setting up this site, I said, I want POs to be able to see the group times that I offer for level 2 education. That is completely up to you. So you can turn that on if you want them to be able to see the times you offer specific groups. You can also turn it off. These ones that don't have the arrow, I don't have it enabled. We also make sure to put this little disclaimer here that just because they're referring for that group doesn't mean that they're going to end up in that group. Sometimes the group is full. Sometimes the client doesn't mesh well with other clients in the group. So we just make sure to put that disclaimer on there that might change. Okay. So they go through the list here. They refer for anything that the client is going to be doing at your agency. And then this spot here is just a place to put any extra notes to you. And then all the way at the bottom, they can either just submit or they can submit and upload scan docs. So this is where they can come and they can upload. They can upload any of that corresponding documentation that you guys need, police reports, ROIs, anything that they want you to have, they can upload right here. And it goes into that client's filing cabinet. The benefit of them uploading documentation right here is that it is HIPAA compliant. It's a secure transfer of those documents to you, but it's also not getting lost in a fax machine somewhere. It's always going to be there. You can access it at any time by going to the client's filing cabinet. So I'm going to jump back over to the referrals tab, and now I'm going to go down to view referrals. So they can view any of their pending referrals right here. So I've got 3. So here's the one I just created for Jessica. And then I've got 2 others. So Jen here, report by date is highlighted in pink. We're past the date. That's a key to me that I know she never showed up. And the other 2 are still pending. If I wanted to be nice and give Jennifer a little extra time to show up over there, I can click the magnifying glass and I could edit the referral and I could push that date back. Something else that they can do, if they click that magnifying glass, this is what we refer to as the ticket to treatment. So this screen has everything that the client would need. So they can click print this page, and it's going to have the client address, or the agency address, report by date, so they know when they have to be there for, they know what they're going for, and then just a little map. So they can print this out. You'll notice that my comments about this client being nuts are not on this form. So they can print this out, hand it to the client, and the client has everything they need. So there's no more excuses for not showing up over at your agencies unless they lose the paper. There are some of those clients who are just a little different case. So the map here is clickable. So if it's like an SO client and the PO needs to define a safe route for them to travel to treatment by clicking that map, it just opens up in Google Maps and they can give them directions. They can look up bus routes. So there's a lot of options there. So that is referrals. I did, when I'm done here, I am going to log in as from the agency side of things, so I can show you a few things with that. So the last thing I wanted to show you on the probation side of things is signing documents in the system. So sometimes you got to send them that treatment plan and you need their input. They need to approve it and sign off on it. You can send those documents, and I'm sure many of you already are sending them, but the probation officer then gets an email that says, hey, you have a document to sign over at Kansas City Therapy for this client. So they can log into the portal, and I'm going to jump back over to the portal here. So they can log into the portal under My Agencies. If there is a green pen icon, it means that there are documents to sign for that agency. Same thing under the My Clients tab. If a client has that pen icon, it means they have a document to sign for that client specifically. And they can click on it, and it takes them to that site, logs them in, and takes them to where they can see all of their pending documents. The other way they can get to it is on the home screen with this icon here, documents pending approval, or they can go to Docs and Forms, Doc Approvals. It all gets them to the same place. So now I can view the documents. So Edwin here has a discharge summary that's pending my approval. If I click on the green check mark, it pulls up the document. I can review it. I can see who else has signed it. So just for reference, I don't know if you guys may or may not know this, but whenever you sign a document in ReliaTrax, it automatically puts this long signer ID on it. It's called a hash. That's what actually makes this a legally binding document, so it'll hold up in court if you ever need to. But then at the top, I can add comments. And then I can either approve it or I can refuse the document. If they're approving, they don't need comments, but if they're refusing, we do require they put comments in there and let you know why. All right, so then that's at the top here, snapshot. So counselor approved it, PO refused to sign it. Those comments are also now part of the document. If a document is refused, then the counselor will get an email saying that so-and-so denied their document. All right, so that's the probation side of things. I mentioned a couple things I wanted to show you on the agency side. So let me get logged into my agency account. All right, so referrals. When you get a referral in the system, and somebody in your agency should be getting an email letting them know that a new referral was made, but the client has shown up for their intake. We don't want them to be reported as not showing up. So I can just go to referrals, view referrals. These are all the pending ones I have on there. But let's say Jessica, that one we made, showed up. All you have to do is click on the little Lego man icon. It'll move them from the referral state to the intake state. And that PO will not be notified that they never showed up because they're no longer in the referral state. The other thing I wanted to show you, well, two other things. I mentioned that you can make it so that a probation officer cannot edit client information or upload a picture under the magnifying glass here if you don't want them to. So you go to user info users and you can pull up their accounts. So there's a couple permissions here, can edit client referral information. So just uncheck that and save. Completely up to you. A lot of people have found it very helpful, but we want to be respectful of your decision as an agency. And the last thing, I mentioned on the referral where you can display your group times. So let me see. So if you don't want your group times shown on the On the referral page, when you're setting up a group, it's this checkbox here. Just make sure that's unchecked. And then that group won't show up on the referral page. Completely up to you. All right, so that is the bulk of the webinar for today. I did want to open it up to questions. I do see that I have one in the chat already. I'm going to have to log back in as a PO. So one of the questions is, I noticed the umbrella was visible in the client notes. Does that mean they have access to our Medicaid invoices? No, they don't. You can see up here, there's no accounting tab, first and foremost. Oh, let me go to Edwin. So I assume you're referring to these umbrellas here for insurance. They can't actually click on them. It just shows them that that session was covered by insurance, not that they can't access the billing record or any of the invoices. So let's see, can the PO access the client's information even when they are not listed as a supervising person? That is an excellent question, Yvonne. Thank you for asking that. So POs have to be assigned to a client. So under the, and that's, looks like some things might have changed here. So on the client's page, assigning a PO to the client is the eyeball icon. So that's what actually allows them to see the client here. We do have an optional capability for setting up your referral sources to allow a PO to see all the clients in an organization. And I'm going to log back in as the agency side here. So under organizations, you can click the pencil. So it's this option here, clients visible to all organization users. So if I'm a PO in the 14th Judicial District and I am not assigned to client John Smith, but my colleague is, if this is checked, I will still be able to see John Smith. If it's not checked, I will not be able to see any clients that I am not specifically listed as a supervisor for. And that is done with the eyeball icon here. Okay. And it is an agency function to assign those POs to the probation officer. So I'm getting logged back in as my PO here. If that box is checked on the home screen here, I can check this option to show non-supervised clients. And I can see all of the 14th judicial clients. The blue star means I am not assigned to them in any capacity. The gold star means I am assigned to them as their primary. And there's another one, it's a white star. I am assigned to them as a secondary supervisor. I'm not the primary. So I do have a question. Can two providers communicate via ReliaTrax in the same way as probation? You can use the task still. That is an option. So you can always enter a task on the client's profile and other counselors will be able to see it. There's not like a chat function though, which I think is more of what you're thinking of. So one question, the last week's webinar, do I have it available yet? I have been running into some issues editing it because I had the internet outage during the webinar last week. That will be uploaded to the video library shortly. I am still just finishing up editing it. Access monthly reports and treatment plans. Yes, other counselors can access the documents in the filing cabinet. There is an option if you need to have another counselor sign off on a document, you can send it to them to approve. So in the filing cabinet, if you need to have a colleague sign off on a note, you can click on the little people here with the check mark and then add additional signers. That's so not a lot for like counselor to counselor communication, but you can send them documents to sign. Do I have any other questions? I think you might have, some people might be typing. I did want to mention that next week's webinar is going to be on, let's see, UA and BA testing. So interfacing with like Sentry and Millennium Labs, how you can utilize those functions. So keep an eye out on your emails, most likely tomorrow for the invite to those. All right, it kind of seems like the questions are done. So I will cut the webinar there today. Thank you everybody for joining us. And if you had a question that didn't get asked or answered, please feel free to send those to my email. Next Monday is a holiday. Oh, Labor Day. I gotta be honest, I totally forgot about, sorry, not Labor Day, Memorial Day. Forgot about Memorial Day with the pandemic going on. So we may not be doing next week's. I will verify that and let everybody know. Great question. I completely spaced Memorial Day next Monday. So, all right. But if you have a question that didn't get asked, feel free to send me an email, michael@reliatrax.com. And I look forward to speaking with everybody again, either next week or the following week.